Sanchez pitching against his old team for the first time since being sent away by the Tigers. He beats his old team 3-1. Juan Soto hit his 14th homer of the year for Washington. Nicholas Castellanos went deep for the only Tiger offense. It'll be Gregory Soto today. He's 0-2 with an 8.66 ERA pitching for the Tigers. He's called up for the minors. First pitch at 4:10 here on the ticket. Join Dan Leach at 2:15 at the Big Tech Court as he interviews the 1984 World Series champion Detroit Tigers. Several reports indicate free agent superstar Kawhi Leonard will meet with the Los Angeles Lakers. Meanwhile, the NBA says coaches may challenge one call per game next season, provided the measure gets expected approval from the Board of Governors. At the Ticket Update desk comes Jeff Lesson for more 97.1theticket.com.
The following is a paid program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Entercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed, alongside me, Harry Glantz.
Morning, Harvey. Good morning, everybody out there. It's beautiful out, and we got golf in town.
We've got tons of stuff happening here.
Unbelievable. Tigers are in town. We've got golf in town. We've got sun. We've got fun. We've got you, Harvey.
We've got everything going on here. That's about it. It's June 29, 2019, and of course, from our office, Becky Alley.
Hey, everybody. Good morning.
There she is, bright and cherry as always. If you guys need a mortgage or you want to buy a house or sell a house, definitely this is going to be your show. We bring in Matt Bush. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Hey, it's great to be on the radio. I'm always usually listening to in my car, so it's great to be in the studio instead.
Oh, great, Matt. We like a fan of the show to come on and talk a little bit.
Kind of geeking out, yeah.
Welcome.
We know you're sort of a podcast star, too, but we'll get into that maybe a little. We'll talk about some brewskis a little bit later. But this hour is going to be 1 hour of mortgages and real estate. Of course, Matt's with RE/MAX First, the city team. Guys are a great office over there. You guys are on the east side.
We're on the east side. We're at 8 and Kelly. Mm-hmm. But we're, all downtown, Midtown, Corktown. I've got deals pending out there. So
I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to cruise down to Corktown tonight. Actually, my cousin got a house in Corktown earlier this year.
It's great out there.
It is. And I'm a fool. I try to talk him out of this here like 2 years ago. I'm like, you sure? You guys, you're going to have a family and then kids and they don't really have schools yet. He goes, Harvey, I don't have any kids yet. This could be the best investment he's ever made.
Well, the great thing about our market, Harvey, and the people that we know and the connections that we have a guy sitting in our studio right now that when I ask the magic question, so, hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going well.
That's not the magic question. All of a sudden, he's nervous. So
what did you say?
What's going on? What's going on in Corktown? Tell us what's going on. What is it? Where is it trending besides up, and away? Let us know what's going on there. New shops, new shopping, Ford Motor Company, the train station. Tell us what's going on.
Honestly, Corktown's the most expensive real estate in the city, if not the state right now. If you go per capita, it's about as big as Manhattan.
That's crazy.
But even
good crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a 1,400 square foot house for $500,000. Mm-hmm. You're talking firebombed, burned out houses for $100,000 just because you can tear them down and build a house on that land.
But isn't that the way it's supposed to go? Isn't that the way when you're rejuvenating an area, when you're rebuilding it, you're going in there and you're buying property and you're fixing it up and you're making the area better and investments coming in? You've got families moving in there. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be, generationally speaking? In a city like Detroit, isn't that really what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to see happen in a city like Detroit to go from, 2 blocks away, there's nothing going on, and then Corktown, boom, you're in the middle of everything. I mean, Michigan Avenue is right there with the cobblestone streets. You've got, bars, restaurants, everything you could possibly want. And then it even blends over into the north part of Corktown and even into Mexican Town. I mean, that's just the west side of Detroit right now is on fire.
It's just happening. And by the way, Harvey, and to speak of your cousin who bought that house, appraisals are coming in fine there, right, Matt?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the scarcity alone of housing in that area just pushes up the price.
Yeah, I mean, it's right, supply and demand. It's Econ 101, supply and demand. And Becky Alley,
yep.
You're all over Oakland County and Wayne County specifically,
yes.
right? I mean, you do business everywhere, as we like to say.
Yeah, everywhere.
We're doing business everywhere. And the 2 favorite questions that we ask a new person when they come on the show, Becky, is what? How are property values and how is your market area? And here we go. Matt Bush is telling us exactly what we want to know, because even though we drive around down there, we do a lot of loans down there, we want to hear from the people that are in the trenches or on the street every day buying and selling real estate in that area.
Right. I mean, obviously, you want to deal with people that are out there doing the real life situations, not just someone that's going to tell you from an outward perspective. They're actually in there doing it. And What I'm hearing is Detroit is turning into the new Birmingham. We're going to buy houses, we're going to knock them down, and we're going to build new ones. And say you can't build a house just like mine.
There you go.
Put in the contract.
Not everything's going to be cookie cutters, right?
Right,
They're going to
exactly.
have some characteristics that are different than your neighbors. Hey, great stuff here. 248-539-9797. We take your calls all morning long. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can find us all week long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Always powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. And we take your calls here live in the studio.
What's that MLS number?
That is is it
2720 or something? I don't know.
No, you better tell me what
Liz
it is.
is going to kill me.
What is
Liz,
our corporate one? It's our corporate one. We'll find it.
Hey, okay, NMLS, police, CFPB, we're announcing it.
We'll definitely have that. Hey, Matt,
we got the number.
We're compliant.
You know what's great, too, about, one of the things when I pulled you up, I know you do a lot of business with Lisa Lawson out of our office, and she's such a great person to work with. And, of
She's
course,
a
a
rock
speedy
star.
recovery.
Yep.
Lisa will be calling. She probably just walked out of some heart surgery, and she'll call us in like 5 minutes
She
here.
probably did it herself, actually.
So Lisa Lawson, she is an LO in our office, and she is, bar none, a rock star. She is authentic, she's honest, and when you get a pre-approval from her, along with Harvey, myself, and John Kolb, and multiple others, everyone actually at Capital Mortgage Funding, you know that you're getting a piece of paper that actually is worth something instead of, I pre-approve you for $1 million and you can't do anything with it. So we know what we're doing, and Lisa Lawson, she's a rock star, and we wish she could be here, and we wish her all the best that she's getting a procedure done, and we want it to go very smooth.
Love you, Lisa. And, Becky, you make me, I'm like a proud father when you talk about all my children like that.
Yeah.
Because we try to do things the right way, and, we're always looking to improve each and every day, but mainly, just like the show says, we tell it straight. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. When people call us up during the week, not only on this show, you're going to get the answer. I mean, it might not be the answer you're looking for, but it's going to be the truth.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty proud of all of our kids.
And what you just said is perfect. I mean, you can call enough people, and eventually if you talk to enough people, someone probably will tell you what you want to hear.
Liars.
That doesn't mean that is the answer. That doesn't mean that's going to be the best situation. That doesn't mean that is the route that you need to take just because you're not hearing what you want to hear, which is probably the truth, and you're going to call a bunch of people until you hear that, oh, well, I can do X, Y, Z. And you're just not doing yourself a favor. You need to sometimes hear that honest, you can't do it, it's not the right time, but let's do X, Y, Z to get you into that point. So
it's the same in the real estate world.
Yeah.
There's listing agents tripping over each other to win a listing. So you can easily say, hey, I'm going to get you $390,000 for the house, knowing darn well it's going to sell for $350,000.
Right, to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, but because you told the seller that's what they're going to get, they get all excited that that's what they're going to get. And then you have an awkward conversation 30 days later when you say, hey, I was wrong. It's actually worth this. So let's get a price reduction. So I always tell my people that I'm going to list, hey, we can have an awkward conversation now and I can be real with you and tell you what your house is going to sell for. Or I can fluff you just like everybody else did, try to win your listing, and then we can have this conversation in 3 to 4 weeks when you ask me, hey, why aren't you delivering on the promises you made for me? So I just rather cut it to the chase. That way we start on an honest relationship. Everyone's cards on the table, and you know what you're going to get from my relationship and from my team as well.
But there's value in that. There's value in that conversation, and sometimes there's value in the word no, like we talk about. And people are afraid to say no. And for you to hit someone right off the bat and just, look, let's talk about what's real and what's not, because it's either the market's going to tell you if you're priced right, or that appraisal is going to tell you if you're priced right.
And the worst thing is, let's say we list a house at $399,000, right? $399,000. And we get that offer, we got a mortgage offer, and then the appraisal comes out. We were just talking about that, and it's $370,000.
So what do we do in that case? What do we do, Matt Bush? Here we go.
We do. I didn't prep him on this one.
You didn't tell him about this? What do we do in that case? $399,000 comes in at $375,000. You've got a deal, right? Everybody signed it, and you're going to say, not you, I don't mean people out there will say, but the market dictates that whatever a buyer and seller willingly agree to, that is the market price. That's the market. No, it comes in at $375,000 because all the neighbors sold for $375,000 in a similar house in a similar area. What do we do at that point in time, Matt?
I'm going to be I'm going to play hardball with my buyers, with the person that's trying to buy the house. Hey, listen, you love this house. I'm just going to sell on them. And the best thing that I like to do when I negotiate is say nothing at all. Hey, you got a $375,000 offer, or we got an appraisal. This is our price. Just let us know what you're going to do, and just let them make the answer.
Okay, good. I like that.
Usually going into it ahead of time, they already understand that they might have overbid for the house, and they understand the ramifications of this accepted offer, and that the appraisal could come in short.
Yeah, and that's the key to prepping your sellers too beforehand.
That's the conversation up front, like you talked about. You got to have the hard conversation up front. You have to have 2 or 3 variables, right? So when you're doing that conversation, you tell them, look, so you have an offer accepted at $399 if you're representing, if you're the buyer's agent, but it might not come in. What are we going to do if it doesn't? Well, the answer should be, let's see how the appraisal comes in. And then
Sometimes
we'll
that happens.
after. Yeah.
All right, we're up against our first quick break here. 9:10 in this gorgeous. Stay out there. Give us a call, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Welcome back to the show, 9:14. Yes, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, a 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, always powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS.
Number 228, Nassing Lender. And Harvey, it's so funny you mentioned that because, a couple weeks ago we had Liz, our corporate counsel, Liz Steinhaus. She's in here, and she didn't want to be on the radio, but she wanted to hang out, and it was fun, and she always does. But when I say she didn't want to talk. Some people just don't want to talk. So attorneys are trained. They listen, and then a couple weeks later, they tell you what they really think, right? So I went to dinner with Liz, who's an awesome person, and she's the greatest. And then she hits me up yesterday. She says, make sure you tell Harvey.
The compliance.
It's the compliance part of her. To mention
Equal Housing Lender.
NMLS number 2289. Equal housing lender. So there you go, Harv. So
we got it in. Hey, we take all your
snaps for Harvey.
We take all your calls here. 248-539-9797.
We always have somebody watching us. So
there's a watchdog.
Well, you think I watch you? Somebody's watching me too.
Everyone's watching somebody, right?
That's right.
Is owning a home beneficial? Oh, you bet it is. One day you could use that equity to do improvements, pay your kids through college, pay your income tax bills. But of course, one day, Michelle, you can own the house free and clear, have a roof over your head, and as you're getting to retirement age with lower cash flow, here you own a house free and clear. So home ownership is extremely beneficial to you. How do we always know that? Well, the investors are buying up the houses again, Michelle.
Yeah.
Nothing's left for our first-time home buyers. And when you're a first-time home buyer, you better have the best team, real estate team, and lenders involved because you're fighting against now those investors' offers, and they have very deep pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is quite competitive, out there for home buyers, period. First time, second time. It can be even difficult for that second home purchase because you're liquidating the first one that you've got. So I think the playing field is still pretty tough for anybody out there right now. So that's why I wanted to give, a few more pointers. There's another big one here about how to write a strong offer that I think can really be considered, which is, we talked briefly about this, Harvey, about standard language on a contract is that you would do your private home inspection and then order the appraisal, right?
Right.
Okay. And you typically have 5 or 10 days to do your private home inspection, and then Becky's over here tapping her fingers, let me know when you're good, and I can just get this thing rolling and get the appraisal ordered.
Right.
And then suddenly Becky's like stressing out because her timeline has been condensed from 30 days on a contract down to like 15 or whatever, or 20.
Now, you got a big decision to make. You can save some money and buy that seafoam green jalopy in your neighbor's yard that hasn't started since Reagan was in office. Or you can buy a new boat from Wilson Marine. You see, at Wilson Marine, we get it. We'll get you into a new, reliable boat that starts every time. Let me know when you get that green monster started you yell to your neighbor. I'll be out on the lake. We got some fish to catch. Wilson Marine. Life is short. Reliable boats are cool.
Don't miss Wilson Marine's 70th anniversary Buy Today, Boat Today event. Watch the fireworks in an all-new 16-foot roundabout with seating for up to 6 and a 60-horsepower 4-stroke on-trailer. $2,000 down, $159.92 per month.
Wilson Marine. 5 metro locations waiting to match you with your perfect boat. In Howell, Brighton, Wixom, Commerce Township, and Harrison Township. Or 24/7 at wilsonboats.com.
It all starts with just one thing. June is World Oceans Month. If you're planning a trip to the beach, be sure to use sunscreen that is labeled reef friendly to benefit marine wildlife. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Now available for download. Always Aggravated. A Mike Valenti signature podcast. Get it on radio.com and Apple iTunes. 97.1 The Ticket.
Welcome back to show 916. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's where you'll find us all week long. Get that strong approval letter. Deal with real professionals. Capital Mortgage Funding right here in the Southeast Michigan. We handle mortgages everywhere. We're going to talk a little bit about that too, Harry. Definitely buying vacation homes. It's always nice to maybe sink your teeth into that. We've been putting some marketing tools out there about some families that are looking at second home purchases, whether it be here in the state or anywhere in the United States. We do loans everywhere.
We're really strong in the I-75 corridor because people either go up north and buy a vacation home up I-75 or they go down south, whether it's through Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, all the way down to Florida. We're finding that the I-75 corridor for the last 30 years has been really good for us. People in Michigan go up north or they go down south, like straight south. Now, some like to go to the Carolinas. Some like to go to Arizona. Some go out west. But usually it's straight down I-75. For whatever the reason is, they end up in Florida. But we're seeing that, and we're also talking about Harvey, Becky, Matt. What are mortgage interest rates going to continue to do? Well, we know for a fact they're not going down to zero. We do know that. I'm not going to pay you to do a mortgage, all right? So the rates are going to be the rates, but they're at 2-year lows right now. You're talking about where you can get in the 4%, maybe a little under 4% on a 30-year fix. You're talking about the same thing on a 15-year. And there's no reason to go on any other program other than a fixed, except if you don't think you're going to be in the house for that long.
Right.
Now, you ready? I would still do a fixed rate mortgage because things happen where people say, this is only going to be a year or two house for us. Wrong. Most of the time, life gets in the way, plans get suspended, and they end up staying in the house a little bit longer. For my money, the way I would advise people right now, Matt Bush, is I would say take a fixed rate mortgage, but lock it in. You have to lock it in because next week, could be some serious volatility in the market. Economic data comes out. Who knows where the rates are going to go?
Yeah, definitely.
So don't wait around. If you're on the fence, if on Friday your guy told you to lock in and you didn't lock it in, you might want to call him on Monday morning and say, "Hey, lock it."
Absolutely. And with a 30-year fixed, you're also buying peace of mind. You know for the next 30 years, this is going to be your payment. So regardless of what else happens in the world in my life, as long as I can afford this payment, I'm good to go. So, one of the things that I talk to my buyers the first time we meet is, what are you paying in rent a month? If they're renters or if they are homeowners, hey, what are you paying in your mortgage every month? Because just because you get a $400,000 pre-approval letter doesn't mean you should go shop for that $300,000 house. Because
I love that.
If you are used to paying $1,000 a month and you go to $1,800 a month, that's a 80% jump. Now, can I afford that? Can I live the same lifestyle I want to at that rate? So sometimes when you meet with buyers, I specialize in first-time home buyers. So my thought is keep your rent payment the same. And, now with a mortgage, you've got, interest, you've got insurance that you have to carry that you didn't otherwise have to do in a rental, and you've got all this escrow account. So my job is to really pare people down and say, hey, yes, you're pre-approved for $140,000. Let's find you something at $110,000 to $120,000 because your taxes are going to go up. That's the secret that nobody ever tells anybody is your taxes are going to go up. There's all these expenses of being a homeowner. You're going to do some maintenance now that you weren't doing otherwise. So let's really budget for you to be successful for the next 5, 7, 10 years. Because as you guys see, typically that refi, that next purchase is every 6 to 7 years.
Matt, you sound like a first-time home buyer, professional real estate agent. I like what you're saying. Where are you going to go with that?
I was just going to say, what he's saying is just you're a rock star just from what you're saying, because it just shows that you have a great value for both the listing side and the buyer side. A lot of what he just talked about, like all the first-time home buyers out there, or just buyers in general, these are the conversations that we at Capital Mortgage are also going to be having with you. So we're having the same conversation. Then you have a rock star agent that's also just going to drive that point home. It's all about affordability. Do not overextend yourself. You want to live at your means or under your means, not overextending them. It's about that budget, practicing. What are you paying per month? Is it $800? Do you want to find a price point that would put you maybe in $1,000 or a $1,200 monthly mortgage payment? Practice it. Keep making your $800 rental payment, but then put $400 in the bank and see if you can sustain that for a couple of months while you're preparing yourself, because it's all about these added expenses that you're not used to having. You now have taxes, you have insurance. If you're buying a condo, you have this association due. So all these things go into when you're buying a house.
Practice ownership sort of before you do it. I like that idea.
Yep.
Matt, you talked about something on the phone too yesterday, and Harriet and I have been talking about second home purchases, but rentals and investment properties. That first home, that's why that fixed rate's so groovy on your home, because it might end up being your first rental also.
Absolutely.
And I think you've touched a little bit about that some families are starting to look at that. You work with a lot of investors, you told me.
Yeah, actually about 50% of my business is investment. So, right now in the city of Detroit, we're actually sitting on an investment gold mine. You can go into one of these neighborhoods of Detroit and buy a house for $25,000, $30,000, maybe even $40,000 and collect a 25 to 30% return on your investment. Like, nobody on Wall Street will ever come close to these numbers. So you can even hire a property management company so you don't ever deal with your tenant. They'll manage the house, they'll maintain it, and at the end of the month, you're still going to get a sizable rent check from these tenants.
Yeah, but Matt, let's talk about this. And I don't want to be the old guy in the room, but I am the old guy in the room. But it's not. Yeah, really. Thanks, Beck. It's really not that easy, though. You don't watch TV, buy a rental property, then collect a check. I mean, that's not what happens. You have to go in there. You have to talk about. There are things that you have to do to those houses. You have to fix those houses up. You have to put some money in to get over the long term. This isn't. I mean, flip my house. You see these commercials on late at night. I mean, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning when I'm up, I'm watching TV. Come on, it's not that easy. We know this. We've been doing this for 30 years. It's not that easy. Come on.
But it is that easy. That's the thing.
Killing me here. Talk to me.
What I specialize in is tenant-occupied investment properties.
So go start to finish for me.
So
break it down.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to search the MLS for properties that have tenants in them. Okay, because I'm going to inspect the tenants and their rent roll and their lease history, as well as I do the physical domicile itself. So I'm going to make sure the tenant pays, they've been paying, they've been there long term, and then we're going to buy the house for $25,000, $30,000, maybe $35,000. They're going to be paying the tenant, $750.
How much do I have to put into it? I'm buying out. Okay, I go out there. You hook me up. I pay $25,000 for the house. What? People can move right in right away?
Sometimes.
Well, my goal is to find you a unit that there's already a tenant in, so I don't even have to find a tenant.
I love this guy.
So that way, the moment you get the deed titled to you or title deeded to you, you're already making money day one. And, the tenant's already there, so it's in a livable condition. It's not something that has, fire damage. This is a livable family home. Yes, work is needed to bring it up to city code. Lead paint's going to need to be abated. There's going to be some works that are done.
There's still houses with lead paint in them?
Absolutely.
But you're also making sure that the current tenant didn't make the house look like they just left like a rock concert and how they use like trash hotel rooms, right?
But yeah, but the thing is, let's say I buy you a house for $30,000, okay, yes, and the tenant's paying $900 a month. That's $12,000 a year that you're going to make. So if I tell you, okay, you're going to spend, $10,000 to fix this house. Now you're all in at 40, but you're making $12,000 a year in investment income. I mean, your taxes aren't even going to be about $1,000 a year. Your insurance is going to be $30 to $40 a month.
But this is a long-term play, though, right?
It's a 4 to 5 year play. You can pick these houses up pretty quickly, pretty easily, and you can build yourself a nest egg where you've got this passive income. You've got a property manager that's dealing with the tenant issue, so they never know who you are. You don't ever get your phone ring, and you just do standard maintenance on these houses. I always tell people you're going to spend the first year's worth of rent on fixing up the house and making it nicer, more presentable. What I'm getting to. However, year 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're going to double your money. You're going to double your initial investment, and then at year 5, year 6, you're double in the black. So
yeah,
that's why I have investors, Sweden, China, New Jersey, California, all over saying, hey, Detroit's hot and we're just trading these houses. And it's it's been a great moneymaker for a lot of people who are just building their nest egg for retirement.
Yeah, some of these opportunities are out there for families that are in good position. And again, you have a lot of companies too that do this. So they're buying bulk homes. They're just buying onesies, or they're buying 5 or 10 of these at a time.
And they're coming from everywhere. I mean, you have, like, I had a gentleman from Australia wanting to, he wanted to invest in Michigan and invest around Detroit. I mean, Michigan is a beautiful place to live. I mean, we get all 4 seasons, and we were talking about these vacation homes up north and all that. Why not? Like, I know I want a vacation place up north, or even like in St. Joseph on the west side of the state. I mean, it is beautiful. Where you go on to Port Huron, you get beautiful sunrises in Caseville, and then you go over St. Joseph, Saugatuck, Douglas. Those are like $1 million properties, spending, but beautiful sunrises. Or sunsets.
Sunrises. We're talking about it all here. All right, this is a great morning here. 248-539-9797. If you're just getting up, give us a call. The Hardcore Mortgage Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 9:29. If you're just joining us, that is summer outside. That's right, going up to 78 degrees, a little patchy clouds. On today, get that boat
Hey,
out.
spoiler alert, it's not raining today.
There she is. Yeah, you got to tune to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show.
I was building an ark.
Yeah, exactly. How's that
building
going?
an ark. It's still sitting in my backyard.
Right.
The animals were lining up to get on the ark. Then all of a sudden, the sun came out for 2 days.
That's what that thing is. But definitely get out there and enjoy. Be careful out there on the waterways and on the golf course. You definitely don't want to get hit by a stray shot.
Yeah, the weather makes you want to like do some high kicks, and I don't have a good kicking radius, but I do want to do a high kick or two.
I'll give you a good kick. How about this one? Existing home sales broke a 2-month slump. Would you believe that, Michelle? Yep, May rising 2.5%. All 4 regions of the United States showed an increase in appreciation. Appreciation average 4.6%, and the average sales price of a house $280,200.
Hey, snaps!
Hey, that sounds good. If you buy a house, you have an opportunity to write off the interest, own it free and clear one day, let it build equity for you. You can use that equity to do different things in life, and just one day you can own that house free and clear and have a roof over your head, because one day, Harry, even you're going to retire one day, maybe.
Nope.
No, you may
Never.
I'm going to retire.
Retiring,
He
ever.
probably won't, but I will.
Never going to retire.
And you want to be able to go out and enjoy life, and of course, it's all about cash flow.
But see, that's the problem. I don't do anything well enough to retire. The only thing I do well is work.
That's it.
Okay,
Your ceramic hobby.
And I'm good with it, and I don't mind it. And people say, "Well, what are you working at?" Because I like it.
It's fun.
Because I like doing it. That's why.
So you're talking about, like equity in houses are appreciating. So something I want to touch on again that we kind of always reiterate: you do not need 20% for a down payment in order to get into a house.
Right.
Right now, we are in an appreciating market. People think that PMI or mortgage insurance is the devil, and it's almost, you have to look at it where that maybe $60 a month is allowing you to put minimum down, keep that money in your bank, and you're allowing your home to work for you, because again, we're in an appreciating market. So that way you can put in the new furnace if you need it. You can get renovate the house. You can do what you need. You don't need to liquefy your assets and put yourself in a position where if emergency did happen, you don't have it. And I'm talking to the first-time home buyers especially, because it's not the payments that they fear. We're not dealing with, I can't deal with this $1,200 payment. It's, how am I going to come up with this $7,000? How am I going to come up with this $5,000?
That's a great point. Everybody says that.
It's not the payment.
Because they're paying rent, all right? They're paying rent now. Let's just use a round number, say $1,000 a month rent, right? Everybody says, I can pay the $1,000, and I know you can get me into a house where the mortgage payment is around $1,000, but hey, Harry, Michelle, Becky, and Harvey, I don't have $10,000 to put down on the house.
Yeah.
All right? What do I do? There are things that you can help. Becky, you and Harvey, you help people out every day, and you figure out a way to make sure they get in a house.
Yes, it's having those conversations up front, always.
Yeah, the Mishta loans are fantastic, and we'll talk about that. And, of course, Becky, you mentioned zero down. The VA opportunities are out there. USDA loans are fantastic. Welcome back to the show, 929. If you're just joining us, we want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. All your calls, buying a house, selling a house. have a situation while you're working. Actually, that's how you got in the business, man. That's what I love about you, Matt. You're a first-time home buyer, and you're out there, and your story was it was interesting. So
what
tell me a little
happened?
bit about it.
Yeah,
what got you in the
happened?
business?
Yeah, so it really was. So I bought a house with an agent. I went with a young guy because I thought, hey, I'm a young guy. I want to give a young guy a chance. I want somebody that I can have, hey, when I buy my second, my third, my fourth house. So, it came down to the inspection, and, the inspector that he told me to use is listing off a list of things. Check this out, make sure this is done, X, Y, Z. And, I'm expressing these concerns to my realtor, and he's giving me don't worry about that. That's not a big deal. I wouldn't be focused on that, the pushing me off kind of thing.
So the windows had a problem.
So, yeah, the big thing that I always talk about is all of my window seals are shredded. So he said, hey, you have wall side windows. They have a
great local company.
Yeah,
okay.
They have a lifetime warranty. When you move in, we'll call wall side. We'll have them come do your windows. No problem. So it's nothing to worry about right now. So a couple days go by, and I say, hey, did you talk to wall side? Are we covered? And he tells me, we don't know yet. So a couple days go by. I call him back. They haven't found you in the system yet. All right, couple more days. Well, they have your address, but they can't find the invoice. So at closing, I say, hey, what's going on here? I've been asking you this about 3 weeks. He says, they finally found your address, and it turns out that they installed your windows the year before the lifetime warranty was installed. So they'll do you a discount rate at $100 a window.
Yeah, it's not their fault. They're doing you a service.
And they're such a solid company, and Stanford Blank and his son, everybody, they've been around a long time. They're great people.
And to be honest, I called Wallside probably a week after I moved into the house, and they found me right away. So this is not on Wallside. I was honestly, every time I would call this guy, I would get another, don't worry about it, or let me call you back, and it was just, there was no follow through.
But I think that's standard. When I say that, I'm not bashing your realtor at all. I'm not going to bash anybody.
We're going to let Matt do that.
But in communication, that's what everybody always says. The common answer is, hey, don't worry about it. Yes, no problem. And when those words come out of people's mouths in the sales industry, there's a problem.
Red flags.
That's like, it can't be a problem. I'm having a problem, so don't tell me it's no problem. All right, we go to solve the issue. And I think that, but what intrigued me about your story, and Harvey and I were talking about in the office yesterday, is that's why people get into the business they get into. Because you saw an opportunity where you thought that you could do it better than you experienced. And you said, hey, wait a minute, if this person's doing it, I could certainly do it better.
And that's exactly the process. And my goal is to really help first-time home buyers, because I want to help people avoid the pitfalls that I ran into as a buyer's agent.
Yeah, you're not forgetting where you came from.
Exactly. So, I carry a smaller client load than a lot of other agents. You hear these agents out there call me and we'll do these things. I only manage about 3 to 5 clients at a time, because I want to make sure that if they want to see a house, we'll see a house. We're going to do it the right way. We're not going to jump into see a house, put an offer on a house, rush to closing. A lot of agents, that's every agent, that's their livelihood. So they want to turn over clients as fast as possible. But that's not the right way to do it. Just like we were talking in the break, there's a lot of care and concern that needs to go into it to make sure to, hide or find the hidden things that maybe a seller's not trying to disclose, or really just, hey, is this house for you? You told me you wanted a ranch. Well, now we're in a tri-level, in a neighborhood that you weren't even mentioning. Are you sure that this is what you want? Don't be overly hasty with someone who's about to make the biggest decision that they've made of their lives to date.
Yeah.
I feel like my job is to advocate and advise.
That's it.
And that's admirable. I mean, you're limiting yourself to a certain number of people because you want to give them that customer service that you felt you did not get.
Absolutely.
Over something that all it was some follow-up, but he was probably too busy or whatever was happening. Everyone's got their own things going on, which we don't know. But the fact that you're taking your negative experience and you're now turning into a positive one for all of your clientele, that also says a lot about you and your character as far as what you're bringing to the table for your people.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this is the biggest decision someone will have made with their, to their lives to date. So it's important that they have somebody that knows what's going on.
They need an advocate.
Yeah, they need to know what questions to ask, because if they don't know what a soffit is on their house, which I didn't know when I bought my first house.
Like, what is that?
The
A
old
fibula?
eaves and soffits.
Yeah, what's the difference between an octopus and a furnace and a steam heater, a boiler? a lot of people are shocked that boilers are still in houses these days, but they're just as efficient as furnaces sometimes.
The octopus boiler. Have you ever seen those, Harv?
I have seen those. Yeah.
When they go to got tentacles going everywhere.
Yeah, you got to have an old heating and cooling guy to come on and go, hey,
you're
that
in like
thing's
the
great.
Alien movie or something when you see one of those.
It's like the wacky, wavy army inflatable guy outside the car dealership.
Morning.
Matt, there were other things in that transaction. Your first time you were buying a house, the communication, just a couple other things. I want to wrap that up as some other things that you had shared some ideas and thoughts with your agent, and he gave you responses like, then you meet the guy, the seller at the closing, and he's like, Matt, if I knew you wanted that table, I would have left it for you. It's like, what happened?
Yeah. So I bought a house that's pretty much a very open concept. It's one of those California ranches.
Cool.
And one of the reasons I fell in love with the house is because it had like a booth seating in the corner, and it really brought the room together. So I even said, hey, after the inspection, I found out the washer and dryer weren't included, which I thought they were. Another thing, hey,
oh boy,
thanks for walking me through that. So I said, hey, go ahead and offer the seller another $1,000 for the washer dryer and the table. I mean, it could have been maybe $400 or $500 together, but I figured, hey, incentivize them to leave it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like you said, I told my agent to offer it. And he said, well, we'll see. And then he kept telling me, oh, we don't know.
So he's out at Jobby Nooner 3 years ago. Yeah, right. Your first purchase is going down the tubes.
So I at closing, just like you said, I said, hey, did you ever get my email or from my agent? We were going to buy that table from you because we really liked it. And he said, no, I would have loved to do that because I spent an afternoon taking it apart and taking it to my new place. So he said I would have given it to you for free without you having to pay me. So it's just, there's too many part-time agents or agents who don't really do the follow-up.
Communication is the key on every transaction, and the more communication you have doesn't mean it's better communication. It has to be quality, to the point communication. And like you said, you advocate for your client, and everybody, whatever you're buying. As a consumer, I want somebody advocating my position for me and taking care of me.
Yeah, and it comes down also back to having those conversations. When someone says, hey, I want X, Y, and Z, and you said, I can give you X, Y, and part of Z, but there's no way you're going to get all of
Z,
this.
Right.
The bottom line is, when you're buying a house, whether you're selling or, you're buying or selling, right? The process can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be frustrating. You don't have to feel like you're feeling like you got an elephant sitting on your chest. You need to work with the right people that are running to sprint, that have that sense of urgency, because sometimes it can be a hurry up and wait process when you're going through the underwriting processes and things like that. But when we are having those conversations up front, or you have an agent like Matt where he's out here pushing and having these conversations, he's including you in these conversations that you're wanting to have, that you're getting that service that you deserve. Because I try to treat people like I'd want someone to treat my family, just like everyone in Capital Mortgage. And obviously it's what you do. Like, if someone doesn't know any better, you want to make sure that if my family or someone in my family is buying or selling a house or getting a mortgage, I'm going to treat them just like I'd want someone to treat mine, just because you don't know any better. And you need someone out there that's honest, that's going to have those hard questions, give you those honest answers, and get it done.
I'm laughing because I might not treat my family so well. Yeah. I'm looking at here and going,
please don't.
What does that mean?
No, that's cool.
Anyways, 248-539-9797. Love to hear from you this morning. Boy, is housing affordable here in Michigan. We don't have all these crazy fees that they have like in other states. So
Texas is expensive.
Florida has the intangible tax. New York, they want to pay every attorney in town. So different states. Illinois has got some attorneys' fees. This is a very affordable place. Hey, by the way, when they ask 8 out of 10 renters, what's the biggest obstacle to home ownership? It's coming up with that down payment, believe it or not, still. And I think there's sort of a disconnect there because there's so many great programs, including our MSHDA program here in the state of Michigan. Michigan is unbelievable. 640, of course, there are some income limits, but there are these down payment assistance programs. But also, I don't think families still are on have their knowledge up where it needs to be. 3% down conventional purchases, 0 down USDA loans, just about anywhere here in Michigan. VA loans still at 0 down. Great opportunities to purchase a house.
Good credit, Harvey, right?
And what Harvey's saying is that PMI or mortgage insurance, private mortgage insurance, it's not the devil. That extra $40 a month that you're paying, or maybe it's $80, depending on the loan size, that is going to possibly keep tens of thousands of dollars of liquid cash in your pocket. You do not need to have 20% down to get into a home. You don't need 20% down to not even deal with PMI. We have programs in place that if you put minimum down, you still have an option to get out of the mortgage insurance if that's the way that you choose. However, we do run the numbers to say, okay, if you wanted to get yourself out of the PMI ahead of time with a minimum down payment, does this make sense? Let's look at the numbers. Let's look and see how long you plan on being in this house. These are the conversations that we're going to have with you. But again, you do not need 20% down to buy a house. Absolutely not.
And, kind of back to the beginning of our conversation, when I bought my house in July. I started the buying process of my house in January. I sat down with Lisa Lawson. She actually wrote my mortgage. We sat down in January rather. She pulled my credit, pulled my income. I brought her all the documents. And what Lisa did is she put me on a plan for the next, 4 to 6 months to get my credit where it needed to be, to help me save to where it needed to be, to when I was ready to buy a house, when I was ready to pull the trigger, I was prepared. So, if you're thinking about buying a house or you have someone in your family who's thinking about buying a house, call Capital Mortgage Funding right now. Not to be a shameless plug, but set up a plan.
Oh, we're shameless, okay.
But it's important to set up a plan, to say, hey, how can I get qualified? What do I need to do? And sometimes that conversation, you put somebody on a path to do that, that gives them the guidance, the comfort that, hey, this person's looking out for me. And then you're better prepared to pull the trigger on a house when you find that house.
Yeah, that's a great point. And what you're saying, like, how many people do you see where you're out there, they're like, hey, I like this house, I want to see it. And you're like, hey, do you have a pre-approval? I'm like, oh, I want to see the house first. Like, how do you respond to people like that?
I ask them, how do you know what you're shopping for if you don't know what you can afford?
Perfect.
You sort of, and a lot of the agents I've asked that too, and they say, you know what, Harvey, I'll take them to the first house, but right after that, they're like, hey, they got to get that strong approval letter. Matt, and when you sat down as a first-time home buyer, anyone listening out there, families that have trouble saving money, sitting down gives you that first initiative and that plan so you can start saving money and stop wasting it on food and other things that we just throw money away on sometimes, just get a little crazy with our spending. All right, lots of ways to enjoy life. We'll talk about some libations. I promise you, Matt, somewhere in this conversation, 941. Keep it here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Good music.
Here we are. We're back. 944 if you're just joining us. We're going to take all your calls here on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. 248-539-9797. Our breaks are even going fast. The show goes fast. Our breaks go fast.
A lot of energy in this room. You're missing it.
Crazy.
We're excited for our good sunny days.
This is one of these real estate. Like if you were buying a house or selling a house and you could just jump in here and hang out with us all day, you would learn a lot about mortgages and real estate. I think that's really the missing part is if you don't have that close connection, if you don't feel comfortable with calling and pick up the phone and calling your mortgage guy, call me at midnight. I mean, my phone's out there. My cell phone's out there. I don't care. Call me. If I'm up, I'm ready to talk about mortgages and real estate.
There
it
are
is
so
fun and
many
exciting.
moving parts in a transaction, and we can't expect people that don't do it 10, 20, 30 times a day to understand it.
Right.
Okay? So we get it. We understand that you don't understand it. We'll go over it with you because there are so many moving parts. And you talk about, on a purchase agreement or an inspection or on a seller's disclosure, we talk about water.
Yeah.
Favorite topic here, whether it's good or bad. It's either rainy or you're on the water in Michigan. Somewhere there's going to be water.
Yeah.
But Michelle brought up a great point during the break, and we've said it many times. There's nobody that hasn't had a water situation in their basement. If you don't have a basement, then you don't have a water problem. But you've had a water problem in the basement, right?
If you buy a home with a basement,
2018 Escalade and leasing a 2019 Escalade. Shop our inventory at DriveSarahCadillac.com. Or even better, come see us and dare to compare. You'll discover the experience at Sarah Cadillac. M53 and 30 Mile is world-class from start to finish.
The Detroit Pistons are hosting the premier outdoor basketball 3-on-3 tournament Saturday, July 13th, Little Caesars Arena. Only 2 weeks left to register, and space is filling up fast. The tournament is open to everyone of all ages. Each team is guaranteed to play 4 games. All participants receive a t-shirt, drawstring bag, and ticket to upcoming Pistons home game. If you play hoops, competitively or just for fun, this tournament is for you. Pistons 3-on-3 tournament Saturday, July 13th. Register now at pistons.com/3-on-3.
The only way you can take 97.1 The Ticket with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere. 97.1 The Ticket.
Ready, welcome back. 9:46. If you're just joining us again, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you find us all week long at 1-800 Low Rate, the best mortgage banker. We've been in business for a long time, and we do loans everywhere. That means give us a call, get that strong approval letter. Also, deal with some real professionals. Matt, we talk about this, like when you're, I know when I would listen to any real estate people, I always want to get in that conversation. So having the radio show, it's fun. I get to come out here and say whatever I want every Saturday. But you, someone who's listened to the show a few times, you've picked up on a few things, and as a real estate agent out there, tell me a few of the things that you think separate and what people should do or look for.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. We talked earlier about red flags that an agent might tell you is, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it, etc. There's something that I think is a non-red flag that people often say that's a red flag is when an agent says, I don't know. So the reason why I say when an agent tells you, I don't know, that's a good thing is because that means they don't necessarily have the information, but they're going to go find it. And stay on your agent to make sure that they do find it. Because, there's agents that have been doing this for 50, 60 years, and they think they know everything, and they'll just give you an answer, and whether it's right or wrong, they're just going to give you the first thing that comes out of their mouth. Yeah. So when an agent tells you, I don't know, that's a good thing because they're going to go learn. And the best thing to do in this age is learning, because our industry has changed so many times over with new technology and new platforms that sell houses, and just how the business is just not the same as it was 5 years ago, let alone 10, 12 years ago. So an agent who says, I don't know, let me find the answer for you, is an agent that you want to work with, because they're going to find information that an agent who rests on their laurels might not know, or they'll just assume is the answer, and then you're both wrong because you just took the first word that you know
what, Matt, I don't want to turn into that
They're
guy.
Just pacifying. I'm going to just give you this to pacify you, and going to move on.
Or the industry has changed since that answer was true.
True, yeah.
And, if you're, I buy a lot of condos downtown. So someone says, what's in the HOA fee? Typically it's part of the insurance, common grounds maintenance, water. Okay. Right. If there's new things that have added to the HOA fee or been removed from the HOA fee, say, 10 years ago, it was common to have cable and internet wrapped in your HOA fee.
Okay.
Okay. Or electric even. So, 5 years ago, cable, Wi-Fi, those are both included in your HOA fee. Well, now they're not. So now that's another $100, $120 a month you're going to be spending on your bill on top of the HOA fee. But your agent told me, hey, that was included.
Yeah, but things change. I mean, people have to investigate the changes that are made. Things change every day. Forget every week, every month, every year. They change every day. So what was common yesterday doesn't mean it's common today.
And that's why it's crucial that people find the answer themselves or ask those questions and find somebody who's going to make sure that they know those answers.
Even if you're going to list your house out there, and I think this is good, you can even help your agents out there. If you're going to list your house and you know things about your house, one of the things in my area is the lake privileges. It's a vague thing that people throw out there. What does that really mean?
Right, yeah.
It means you can maybe
Do you get to look at the water?
Right,
you get to
look at it. You can,
in a listing, you know what lake privileges mean? They're not on the lake.
Yeah, exactly. That means that for sure, typically. But there are things like that, and you have to find out. We all want to grow old in our industry, but we don't want to become that old guy who's the know-it-all. Matt, you and I had a little of that, and I was going to go with you a little bit with it, because I am, after I'm coming up on 30 years in the industry, but I don't want to ever not be able to work with the younger generation.
Yeah, you don't want to be stale.
You don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be stale.
Well, there's that experience versus availability. I think it's more in my business than it is in yours. Isn't that, a real estate agent, he works from 9 to 6. He might do a couple of showings after 6, but at 6:30 his phone's off. He's having dinner with his family. He's watching his kids play baseball. He's checked in for the night. Myself, I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm working till 11 at night. So if you're out there considering who you want to list your house with or who you want to help you buy a house, text them at off hours. Text them when you think they shouldn't respond, and if they respond, that's somebody that's going to, go to bat for you, because they're going to work those hours when it's convenient for your family and stuff like that.
Well, it's really about availability, isn't it? And bottom line is that it's like a retail business. We have to be available when the clients work 9 to 5 or whenever they work. We have to be available in the off hours.
Yeah.
Our business is not an early business. Our business is a late business, okay?
Yeah.
Into the night, right, Becky? Into the night.
That's why I'm the night crew.
Yeah, we're on the night crew, and we are available at night. Now, work-life balance, sure, work-life balance. That's okay. I've got no problem with it, but you're just talking about being available. Answering a simple question doesn't impede on anybody's work-life balance. Now, if you're talking about driving out to Howell from Macomb County at 9:30 on a weekday, maybe not. It just depends. But things are situational. It is like baseball. Things are situational.
And one great thing is, I've sold houses from Port Huron to Downriver, and I have the same information that an agent in Port Huron or Downriver has. So, if I wanted to sell my folks' lake house up in Gaylord, I could pull up all the same comps, all the same houses that have recently sold. So our business is completely opened. There's none of this super regionality that there used to be. So find somebody that you trust, find someone that you click with, someone that you want to hang out with. I was just pulling up stats this morning. The average house is shown 14 to 15 times before it sells.
Okay.
So find someone that you want to go see a dozen houses with.
Yeah.
And, because that's the commitment you're going to put. And this is, you're going to trust this person to conduct your transaction, to go to bat for you when you're making the biggest decision your family's ever made. So just make sure that you trust that person, and you vetted them as much as you possibly can, and you feel need to.
And what you're saying is you're not being transactional, meaning that what he's saying is that you're going to have your client for life.
Yeah.
You're not just,
hopefully. Yeah,
once
right.
I'm done with you, I'm moving on to my next batch of 4 or 5 people. You're literally going to building these relationships because you're giving them that individual attention from day one. They're not getting passed on to your assistants and this and that and the other thing. You're literally hands-on with all of these people all the time, driving them, talking to them, and, they're going to be the ones that are going to be referring you other clients.
Yeah, and if something goes wrong with your house, give me a call.
Yeah.
Let me put you in touch with people that I've done work with in the past that can come out and give you a fair quote. Somebody you're not just going to find on a Craigslist or some random website. Let me, give you a couple of names of people that can help you with your thing, whether it's, water in your basement or you need a new roof or something like that. That's the relationship that continues to where you're always in somebody's Rolodex and you're always kind of giving and going, and it's there's no financial change there. It's just people having conversations and helping one another.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't want to bother you. It was so late. No, bother us.
Please.
Like, it doesn't stop once we close a transaction. If you have questions with servicing, and like you're saying after the closing, if they have questions about all of a sudden water shows up in your basement, well, let's take a look at that seller disclosure. Call Matt. Call us. Where it doesn't just stop once we sign on that bottom line. Right. We're always here. We're always going to be here for you. We're building a family relationship because we work and operate as a family, and we're trying to make you a part of that family as well.
A little bit of quick business here. We got July 1st. It's right around the corner. Your summer tax bill is going to be showing up at your mailbox. That's for sure. Hey, if you have an escrow account, you still should get the summer tax bill. Keep that for your records, but do a double check. Call your servicer, call the city, and make sure that your escrow has been sold or the money came out of your escrow account and, of course, went to the city. So beware of that. But that leads to also, if you don't have an escrow account and that bill shows up here, you might want to do a cash out refinance. Take advantage of these unbelievable interest rates. Harry mentioned it, anywhere between 15 and 24-month lows right now in the mortgage world.
Yeah.
In general, the stronger economy expected a lot of economic data coming up this week. Good economic data could mean the rates could bounce up quickly, Harry.
Right.
Bad economic news, of course, disappointing, could be the opposite effect. It could drop
also,
down.
because rates are so low, you're getting these crazy solicitations in the mail, in your email.
Oh, boy.
People are calling you. You have to do us a favor. Give us a call. We'll walk you through what's real and what's not real. What's accurate versus inaccurate? We get it all the time. Be careful. There are a lot of scams out there. Don't wire money anywhere unless you've double-checked. Don't give your driver's license out. Don't give your Social Security number out. There are people out there that want to go ahead and take your identity. Please make your phone calls first. Talk to somebody you know. Talk to a relationship that you've had. Send us the information. We'll go ahead and parse it out for you and make sure it's accurate.
Yeah, deal with real people, too. Call Capital Mortgage Funding. Again, no script readers at Capital Mortgage Funding, and that's why I like Matt Bush. And you're not reading off any script here, Matt.
Very strong,
This
Matt.
is the real deal. If
Very
you're a real
solid,
salesperson,
very intelligent guy.
Yeah, he's got the knowledge behind him. He doesn't need to read a script out there. You're going to know the difference between a script reader and a real salesman, that's for
Right,
sure.
yeah.
All righty. Hey, another version of the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We definitely want to thank Matt Bush from RE/MAX First City Team. All right, I got it straight. Matt,
There we go.
We'll get you back here on the
Can't
show.
wait.
Definitely. We said we'll talk about libations in another show.
We've got plenty of time off air.
All righty. All right, we got Pat Caputo coming up with sports social commentary. For Becky Alley, for Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Freed. Call Capital Mortgage, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Have a great, happy holiday weekend. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hi, Harry Glantz for Capital Mortgage Funding.